another episode of the Confidence Connection Live, where we talk real life examples of confidence and faith in business and in relationships. We are so excited that you have decided to join us this evening. I have with me the lovely Miss Milan Perry. She's going to be sharing with us her experiences as a woman in ministry. She not a woman, I'm sorry, not a woman in ministry, a woman in business. You can tell that I wear a bunch of hats here. But she's a woman in business. And so we are so happy and delighted to have her. We look forward to hearing from her and hearing her collective wisdom. Milan, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to talk to you, to share all of your awesomeness with these groups tonight. Tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you?
Well, I call myself the Chic Women Don't Diet Coach. And I just love helping women from my business, So Natural Wellness, to just to feel more confident and chic in their clothes and their skin again, make more time for self-care, and just giving themselves that permission and the grace that they need, as well as being able to eat well without dieting.
I love that. I love that. That is so awesome. Um, Part of this community is all about connecting, not only connecting externally with other people, but also connecting within, connecting with yourself. And so I love the idea of feeling comfortable with yourself, feeling comfortable in your clothes, and doing the things that you need to do to take care of yourself so that all of that awesomeness, that beauty, that grace just totally exudes from you. Right? That is awesome. So we are so excited to have you in this space. Tell us a little bit about your business, what your favorite parts of being a woman in business are, maybe what your challenges are.
So, being in business, one of the my favorite parts of being a woman in business is this feeling of accomplishment and pride in what I do and how I can influence other women, and also not just that, but to successfully balance myself, my business, self-care, professionally, personally, because a lot of times we are trying to juggle a lot of things, and one of the things I've realized that starts to fall by the wayside is that self-care piece, is that giving yourself permission and balancing everything. And there's so many ways to actually do that without neglecting any one part of that equation.
Mhm.
And that allows me to be able to tap into what I call 8 dimensions of wellness, and
Mhm.
just being more confident in what I do in my skin, no matter what I'm doing, and being present with everything at the same time. So for me, my favorite part of being a woman is being able to prioritize self-care for myself and
Mhm.
help my clients to see that that is the best thing to do. Don't sacrifice yourself in to for the greater good of what you think is the greater good, whether that be business or sacrificing yourself for family. Because as a woman, you can't pour from an empty cup, and we're always doing that on so many different levels. So I just want to strive to be more successful in not just business, but strive to be successful in giving myself the best that I deserve to have and how I deserve to feel as a woman.
Oh, I love that. Giving yourself the best of what you deserve to have and how you deserve to feel. We all deserve it, right? And
Exactly.
so that is an important point to point out when we talk about business. I love the way that you frame your business as more than just a tool or a bridge to an income, right? Your
Mhm.
business is fueled by a purpose. It's fueled by something bigger than you. And it
Mhm.
also is designed, the way you're building it is so that it will nourish you, so that it won't just deplete you, it nourishes you. And I just love that we as women, we that is an option for us. We have the opportunity to build, right? And to create a life
Mhm.
that nourishes us, that doesn't just totally completely drain us, but
Mhm.
it encompasses all of the things. It encompasses self-care, it encompasses self-love,
Mhm.
connection is a part of it, confidence is a part of it. All of those beautiful things, we have that opportunity to build that. And so I love that you're incorporating that in the work that you do. That is
Right.
amazing.
I agree with what you just said about allowing all these things to sort of be a synergy, and because one of the things I notice is that in our communities, and what I've seen to be true, is that we don't give ourselves, um, we don't allow ourselves to be taught. We're not taught self care. We're not taught self care as an experience. So
Mm-hmm.
typically, for a woman, that self care that we're taught and what we see from our mothers, our aunts, our cousins, basically anyone that's older than us who's been that mentor, we've been taught to go get your hair done, get your nails done, get your pedicure. And as we get older, okay, go get a massage. But self care is so much deeper than that, and it's an experience, and that's what we should always aim to do, allowing yourself to um, just live with that experience and be in that experience. And if I may, I just want to give just one point, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a very unique situation. My situation, maybe there are some other women who would identify with this and maybe can take away from this, but I'm in a unique situation where my mother-in-law, my husband and I, we brought my mother-in-law to live with us. So I'm also a caregiver, and I, of course, get support, from the outside to help me with her. But being a caregiver to my mother-in-law who's in dementia,
Mm-hmm.
and also 90% blind from glaucoma. So that's quite a challenge. But one day I said to myself, every single day, I'm going to do something for me that's self care. So I created a list for myself in blocks. So there's 15 minutes. I
Mm-hmm.
wrote down 1 hour. I wrote down 3 hours, and I wrote down a weekend, or maybe like just a full day. So in
Mm-hmm.
the 15-minute block is, what can I do in 15 minutes? And I just brainstormed 10, 15, 20 things I can do in a 15-minute increment. So that allowed me 15 minutes of time every day when I'm busy to do something for myself that's going to give me an escape.
Mm.
And one of those weeks, I decided to give myself um, maybe 2, 3 hours. I had 2, 3 hours. My homemaker was here, and I said, "What can I do?" So I scheduled for myself float therapy.
Mm.
Float therapy is, to me, it's the best thing. It is spa services. I mean, your typical massage services doesn't even compare to this. You're floating in this huge tank of water that's about 4 feet, and
Wow.
you're just floating in salt, and your body is just floating. And it took me about 15, no, 20, 25 minutes just to allow my thoughts to
Yeah.
stop.
Wow.
And it made me realize that even when we do something for ourselves, we're always thinking
Mm-hmm.
about today, tomorrow, the next hour. So we're not even, whatever experience, we're not even enjoying it. If we're with someone, we're not 100% focused and tuned and present with that person, but we're thinking about something else. Maybe we're thinking about the next sentence we're going to say, or what if they ask us this, how am I going to respond to that? So your brain is just always thinking. And in that moment, I realized to give myself an true experience of self care, I need to do things, but I need to tune out everything and anything for whatever time that I have when I'm in that experience. So for that self care moment for me, it was a 60-minute float.
Mm.
I had already wasted 20 of them,
Yeah.
and then after the thoughts, after the 15 minutes of thoughts, it was then I started praying. And then after I was praying and I was crying, I was so thankful.
Yeah.
I just gave away 30 minutes of
Yeah.
my 60 minutes because my mind wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. And then that's when I was able to truly experience what it means, the
Mm-hmm.
essence of self care.
Oh, that is awesome. I love that you shared that. Because again, that goes back to the connection that we have to make sure that we're making within ourselves. And
Mhm.
so we talk about being a woman, we talk about self-care, and we talk about understanding that self-care is a lot deeper than one thing you do, or one place you go, or the manicure, those kinds of things. It's almost about the lifestyle. And I love that you said that before, that you create an experience of self-care. And I
Mhm.
love the idea of making it your lifestyle.
Mhm.
It's not something that you do as a luxury or
Mhm.
something that you do like you take a yearly vacation, you take a monthly self-care. We should be taking care of ourselves
Right.
constantly,
Exactly.
right? Constantly.
Exactly. Because that's when it goes back to, am I pouring from an empty cup? And I used to use the expression a lot with just clients and even with myself, put on your oxygen tank, put on your oxygen mask before you put on the person next to you. To me, that's a slightly different definition versus not filling from an empty cup. Because,
Mm-hmm.
you're putting on your oxygen tank and then you put on the person next to you. Well, that's the same amount of time. That doesn't really express what needs to happen. What
Mm-hmm.
needs to happen is not keep giving from an empty cup. So you have did all these things, your business, work, if you have aging parents like myself, if you have children in college, if you have whatever your responsibility is, if you have a business, your clients,
Mm-hmm.
your career woman. So you're giving, 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 sacrificing, sacrificing. You're going, going, going because truth be told, ever since COVID, the pandemic, we have been in a going, going, going mode. So you're
Yeah.
doing all of this. And then by the time you get ready to give yourself something, anything, just a
Mm-hmm.
piece of self care, you're drained because
Yeah.
you've given so much and your cup is so empty. But if you can start to not let your cup get half empty, but start to replenish it on a daily basis. And there's just so many things we can do on a daily basis
Mm-hmm.
based on whatever time that we have, and not just time that we have, because then that's sort of still giving it away, but what time can I make? I am
Yeah.
purposely making this time for myself, come what may. I'm purposely setting up the boundaries with everyone else to give myself this because I deserve this. I'm not last. I don't have to feel guilty. I'm not going to feel guilty if I make you wait for me because I can't give you my best if I'm at my worst.
Absolutely. I love it. So it shouldn't be the exception. It should be the norm.
Mhm,
And that's what it's all about.
mhm,
Creating a life, normalizing a life of care for
mhm,
you, for others, for intentional care, for intentional service to others. All of those things are what makes life fulfilling for us. And
mhm,
so I want to start talking a little bit about how you see purpose in the work that you do, even in the care that you're giving to your mother-in-law, which I think is amazing. God bless you for that. I'll definitely be praying for you. Is entirely, sacrificial to take care of someone else.
mhm,
And you are doing that while being a woman in business, while being a married woman, and having all of the other things that you're doing. You're sacrificing to take care of someone who needs you. And so
mhm.
when we talk about purpose for us as women, what words come to mind? How would you define that?
One of the ways I define purpose is to um, permission. I think if I had to sum up everything that I do and that I offer, and even in my life that I have, that who is Milan, I would say purpose, because when I am making self care a priority, it is with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Am eating well, it is with a purpose. When I teach my clients how to dine well, how to dine gourmet, how to step up a level of dining at home, it is with a purpose. It is with the outcome for them is to feel more confident. When they feel more confident in what they're putting in their body, what they're eating, how they dine in, how they dine out, the lifestyle of it, the experience of it, then that transcends into so many other things like the family relationships, your relationship with your husband, your relationship with your partner, your relationship with your children, because now you're exuding this confident and chic persona. So
Mm-hmm.
um, that's how I define my purpose. And that is the purpose that I like to give other people, is that be chic, be
Mm-hmm.
radiate with self care. Dine well, eat well, live good, not based on what standard somebody else has set for you, but on the standard that you've set for yourself. But as the growing woman, because a lot of times we set a standard for ourselves,
Hmm.
but it's based on the standard what everybody else says, or the standard
Yeah.
is we're right here. So
Right.
to give you an example, when I work with my clients on in my cooking classes, you kind of grow up with this same thought process. Your mother gave you recipes, you grew up with a certain way of eating, you grew up with a way of dining in, you dine out based on how your colleagues and your social environment dines out. But then when you up that and you start dining, basically you're here, all of your life is here, your professionalism, your personal situation, but then you keep growing, college education, you keep growing up the ladder, clients getting higher, but then the way we feed ourselves and nourish ourselves, it stays here.
Mm.
If it
Hmm.
grows, it's like here. We never, our way of being with food and living, it never jumps when we jump. So we're jumping in life, but other things, self-care, dining in, dining out, dining, it just kind of
It stagnates.
slowly, right, it stagnates. So being able to teach women that jump, when you jump,
Hmm.
that your self-care jumps with you. Dining, the way you dine in at home, it should jump with you.
Mm.
You shouldn't be eating the same thing in life that you've been eating 2, 3, 4 years ago. Jump.
Hmm.
But if you can't
I
go,
love that.
yeah, learn how to.
Yeah. What it sounds like, well, what I'm hearing is that we have to make sure that we're integrating all parts of our lives. So
Mhm.
we're not growing disproportionately. And
Right.
so some people may not, when you think about personal growth, when you think about um, building confidence and walking in purpose, we may not consider our food choices as a part of that, but it matters because that is how you live, that is how you sustain yourself. So when you think about the things that sustain you, food being the main thing that sustains you, then why are we not intentional even in that area? And so I
Mhm.
love the fact that you're helping us to see that it all works together,
Mhm.
that we can't live a fragmented life where we take care of one thing over here, we take care of another thing over here, we don't do another thing over here. We have to make sure that we're working,
Mhm.
right? Everything is in synergy and lining up so that we're growing at the same rate in every area.
Exactly. I love that.
Yeah, that is powerful. I love it. I love it. And let me tell you something. I love me some good food, okay? You posted a while back, and I love flowers too. You posted a while back, you had gone to the farmers market and you had gotten all of these beautiful fruits and veggies, and you had gotten some fresh flowers. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm going to the farmers market, I'm getting some flowers. I actually had an event on Saturday, and it was for women. And so I went and bought some flowers for the table, those kinds of things. But we think of those as just frilly and maybe, unnecessary or really don't matter, but it matters,
It does
right?
matter.
It
Yeah.
matters. It's about the experience. It's about doing something for you,
Yeah.
beautifying your face, beautifying what you put in your body because you love yourself. You're taking care of yourself, right? I
Exactly.
love it.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. And even with I just there's just so many other things that goes along with that, and taking care of your space, taking care of you, loving yourself. And sometimes we wait for everybody else to show us that they love us. But okay, but what about you? What do you do to show that I really love myself? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's this thing that I usually do. So when I take 15 minutes, something I do is color therapy.
Mm.
And I started doing that process when my grandmother passed away, and it just was so instrumental in helping me to heal and nurture myself from within. So I just take 15 minutes color therapy, have all my, favorite colors, and then I give somebody that. I'll just
Mm.
put something on it and say, "Hey, I was thinking about you, and I want you to have
Oh, it's
what's
awesome.
special to me." So I'm letting somebody else share in that small window of an experience that I just gave myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just so important to continue to gift ourselves, whether it be some flowers or color therapy, doing something for us. Have an amazing bowl, glass of wine and just, really experiencing our food from every standpoint, from, everything that goes into making food amazing.
I love it. I love it. That is so awesome. So you mentioned sometimes we carry with us the lessons that we've been taught. Well, most times we do. We carry with us the lessons that we've been taught. And so those lessons are always useful, um,
Mhm.
always they always serve a purpose for us. So when you think about the community that shaped you, maybe your mother, your educational community, early career, anything like that, when you think about what has shaped you as a person, share with us maybe one or two things about those particular connections that you can draw on today as a woman, taking care of your mother-in-law, as a woman working in business, those kinds of things.
Mhm. So one of the things that's shaped me, I would say is, I know this, I know I almost feel like this is so corny to say, but um, I would have to say my mother. There's so many other people, obviously stuff that you read and mentors, but
Hmm.
it really has been my mother throughout the years. Our relationship has changed over the years, from, you're younger, you
Hmm.
maybe get closer to your father. I'm the only girl and the youngest girl. So of course I've had that father-daughter relationship. But then as I started to really look back, what really truly shaped me was my mother, because I got to see a woman who cared about how she looked. I got
Hmm.
to see a woman who, when she stepped out the door, she had on her red lipstick. Um,
Hmm.
she, wore her sheer stockings. When she cooked in the kitchen, she was always dressed in Sunday's best, even when she was cooking, with
Hmm.
an apron on, protecting her clothes. So I got to see femininity at an
Hmm.
early age. And I also got to see a strong woman because she took care of my grandmother with her sister. So I got to see that. And
Hmm.
later, my mother is 80, and both my parents are 80 years old. My mother-in-law, she's 93, but my mother, um, she is just positive, very
Mm.
positive. Sometimes I feel like I'm missing something in my life. Really, when stuff has hit the fan, and I'm thinking to myself, I need an uplift. I need
Yeah.
something that's just going to pull me up. What I'm really craving is, I'm craving that someone in my life who's going
Yeah.
to boost me, who's going to
Yeah.
be so positive and be like, guess what? Oh, let
Yeah.
me tell you what happened. And that's my mother. So
Yeah. I love that. Yes. Yes.
I yearn for those moments to just to talk to her. And I realize there's some women who maybe they don't have their mother with them, but who's that one person in your life
Hmm.
that you can connect with, that puts you on a high. And if
Hmm.
it's you don't have anybody, then you have to find someone like that who can put you on that high, make you feel like, oh, you know what, whatever happens, happens. So I
Yeah.
definitely would say my mother-in-law. She's been the most influential, and yeah.
Oh, that is powerful. I love that. See, and we talk a lot about connection. And so we're not created to connect just for the sake of connecting, but it's like what you said, when you're struggling or when you're going through something, having those powerful connections really can make the difference. We all know that sometimes you can walk in the room, and if the energy in the room is down, you're down. Or if the energy in the room is up, you're up. And
Hmm.
so when we cultivate those good connections, those good relationships with other people, then we are setting ourselves up for a life that is full of goodness, is
Right.
full of positivity, is full of joy.
Hmm.
And a lot of times when we don't do that, we don't see it. And so we might not feel like it's possible, but it is so possible, right? When
Hmm.
we are intentional, again, when we create a life full of those experiences, it's possible.
Hmm.
It is
Exactly.
possible. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Okay. So you said your mother shaped you. You feel like that was the biggest influence on you.
Mhm.
What about other relationships? Let's talk about, because again, this group is about building confidence through connection, internal and external. What other relationships in your life have been a part of your success?
I would also um I want to talk about business because I remember years ago there was a woman. She was a functional health practitioner, but
Mhm.
she was also a chef. And I saw her and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. I found her on LinkedIn and I'm thinking, oh wow, this is me. That she's doing exactly what I want to do. And that's at the time, I wasn't really in business, but I wanted to bridge the two together. I wanted to bridge the wellness piece of the body and lifestyle, and I wanted to bridge health with the chef gourmet piece. I couldn't seem to figure it out, but she was doing it. So I wrote her and I said, I'm really proud of what you're doing. And, I just think it's amazing. I said, when I grow up, I want to be you. And she wrote me back and she thanked me for the compliment. And she said, Milan, she's, well, if you be me, who's going to be you?
Oh.
And that was so powerful because we're always looking at the next person, what they're
Yeah.
doing. Even when we have mentors, I had one mentor. She lived in Italy. She was Irish, but she lived in Italy, and she just sort of picked up that whole Italian thing, the Italian
Mhm.
vibe going on, and I was just enamored with her. And I was like, oh my goodness, she's that's chic to me. That was just totally chic, but that wasn't me. Number one,
Mm.
I live in Italy. I live in
Right.
Chicago.
Right.
Chicago has this, own element of chicness. I said, but well, what's my element of chicness?
Mm.
What do I look to? I look to the women of the 40s and the 40s, the glamour era, when
Mhm.
women wore hats, when they stepped out in their stockings, when they were fully dressed. Those
Mhm.
are women who I admire. So I was like, that's chic to me. So even in business, I found that stop looking at what everybody else is doing. Stop trying to copy and mimic what somebody else is doing because those are my experiences. My experiences has always remained the same throughout my entire life. It's just I needed to tap into that. It's always been somehow connected to food. It's always been somehow connected to wellness. It's
Mhm.
always been connected to self care. So I'm like, okay, so bring all those elements together. But what is my take on that? What
Mhm.
is my experience from learning and education? What have I seen? Because you can take the same, let's say the same bottle of wine and somebody else tastes one thing from it and somebody else tastes, oh no, I just taste apples. And the other person's, oh well, I taste, green pears. So everyone's experience in life is different. So I just had to bring that together, even when my business, it needed to be uniquely adjusted for me.
I love that. And so it was a relationship that you sought out that brought you that revelation. And
Mhm.
so, that reminded me of how we actually met. So you're in a Facebook group. We've never met in person, right? And so I saw you made a post in the Facebook group, um, a business for our retreat business. And I said, that sounds interesting. She's doing something very similar to what I'm doing. And so I reached out to you and we made the connection and we've been connected ever since. And
Yeah.
so I want to encourage anybody that's listening to us, sometimes it's really hard and it's scary to put yourself out there and to reach out to people. But there are so many beautiful, amazing women in this world who are more than willing to help you, to
Mhm.
talk to you, to support you.
Mhm.
It's flattering when you reach out to someone and you see something in someone and you're able to call that out and you're able to say, hey, you know what? I love what you're doing. That work that you're doing is amazing. Can you share with me some of your insights or anything like that? And that's what connection is about. We're
Right.
all created for connection. And so, but when we don't, we kind of isolate ourselves and we keep ourselves in this bubble and we never fully experience the life that we were created to experience.
Right.
And
I
so,
agree.
okay.
I agree. I want to add something to what you just said because I used to often say that there are some people that walk into your life
Mhm.
and they will walk in almost like a door, walk in and they will walk right out. But then there are some people who basically leave these footprints on your heart. And
Mhm.
when you make these connections, the footprints on your hearts is how you've grown. What has inspired you to become someone different, or an idea that changed the way you think about something. So it is important to make these connections because they help us to grow and to foster someone a little bit different than who we were, and step out of that comfort zone, because now we're seeing, okay, everything is not black and white, but what about this beautiful pink color over here? So
Mm,
it is good to nourish those relationships because you're always learning from someone. Like you mentioned, when we connected, to me, it's beautiful to see another woman of color doing retreats and doing it in her way, but doing it in her way based on her experiences and
mhm.
what she loves, and sharing what she loves with other women and connecting with them through that way. Although I do retreats too, they're different from yours because they're based on my loves and what I've experienced and what's special to me, and me sharing that with other women. So you're right that those connections are very important to make.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And when we step out, we kind of take a little bit of a risk, but when you think about it, it's really not, but we feel like it is. But the reward is so much better. And my life is better for knowing you. You encourage me to go to the farmer's market, get my flowers, because I love those things, and just to make it a part of what I do in my life. And
Mhm.
so, tell us a little bit more about influence, how you see yourself um, in your influence, and what maybe you would like to add to your role as a woman in the area of influence.
Um, I would have to say that some of the things that led to my influence and how I want to influence other women is I want to influence other women to just step outside of the box and to allow themselves permission to give themselves um, permission to give themselves more. So
Mm,
what I mean by that is that we tend to be defined by what we standards that we set for ourselves. We're defined by cultural.
mhm,
We're defined by social and emotional influences, and of course the media. But I want to influence women to just step outside of that box, because even though a lot of those things have been influenced, have made an influence on you, but they don't shape you.
mhm,
They sort of create
mhm,
possibility, but not necessarily shape you.
mhm.
It's what you experience and giving yourself permission is really what has been shaping you, and what will continue to shape you is giving yourself permission to try something, or to do something. Like, I mean, even just to flow therapy, I think it was something that someone else mentioned, told me about, and I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. And I just went and I did it. And the first 5 minutes of floating, there was a panic, because until I said, it's only 4 feet of water. What are you panicking
Right.
for? You've been in water, you can swim. But it was something about just surrendering
Yeah,
to that
surrendering.
process.
Yes.
That's my influence to women, is to surrender to a process that
Mhm.
will shape you and mold you, to give yourselves permission to be a better person, to be a
Oh,
better to be a better
oh,
wife, to be a better, whatever is better for you, but to be better.
yes. Oh, that is so powerful. Yes, give yourself permission and surrender. Absolutely. So another part of this community and the work that we do is to help women, identify that voice. You talked about I do retreats based on my experiences and my purpose and my gifts. You have your own retreats based on what's passionate for you. Um, and a lot of times women, again, either we're caught up in the trap of comparison and we say to ourselves, well, I can't do it like she does it, or I don't have what she has, or I don't have the money to do it this way. We kind of have all of these barriers. So, what would you describe as some of the biggest barriers for women to using their own unique voice versus the voice of society or what other people think we should be?
Um, Let me think about that for a moment. I would have to say to um, say yes.
Mm,
Just there is a voice that society wants you to have. There is. I'll go back to my own example. There are a ton of women in health, women in wellness. There's a ton of health coaches out there. Um,
mhm,
they are just doing their own things. Some of them doing similar things, just with their own little twist on it. But when we allow ourselves to be defined by society and that voice, it's going back to not giving ourselves permission. Because one thing I learned about myself and everyone else is that your voice is your voice. There's
mhm.
nobody else like you, like the woman that told me who's going to be you. There is no one else like you. And what's corny to me is not corny to somebody else. So
Mhm.
somebody else can look at a video and I'll say, oh, that's I've ever seen. Oh, why would they shoot that? Okay, here I am once again, that judgmental part. Why would they
Uh,
post that stupid thing?
yeah.
There's an audience of people out there who doesn't think that's stupid,
Right.
who think it's corny. So everyone is attracted to someone. Everyone has a gift, a voice for someone.
Mhm.
Everyone is not the same. What draws someone to me is not going to draw someone to perhaps you. So we have to use our own voice. And our own voice is, this is what's in my heart. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm going through. This is what I'm learning. This is what I'm doing. And that's the voice. And you can be introvert, you can be extrovert. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter because there's people out there for everybody. So never, I don't feel like anyone should be afraid of speaking their voice and speaking what's truth for them because somehow somebody may perceive them. When I was younger, I have to go back to my mother because she was my biggest influencer. When I was younger, um, I was always I was always judged, and I think when you carry yourself a certain way, people tend to have the wrong impression of you. They
Mhm.
they don't get to know you, so they don't know that you're this warm person. They don't know that you're sweet or you're caring, you're nurturing, whatever your quality is. They don't know that. They just judge you from face value. So
Mhm.
but as a young person, it was bothering me because there were so many people judging me that way.
Mhm.
Friends, when you're in those teen years, and my mother said to me, "Look in the mirror." And I looked in the mirror. She's like, "What do you see?" And I says, "Myself." She's like, "Well, do you see anybody else in the mirror with you right now?" And I'm thinking, "No." She's like, "Well, why does it matter to you what other people think of you? Only
Mhm.
thing that matters is what you think of yourself and how you feel about yourself. So everybody else, they're going to be attracted to what the beautiful that you see in the mirror." And that's the way I feel that our voices should always be based on uniqueness and let
I
other people draw to that.
I love that. You actually just helped me. That is powerful because your voice is what you feel, what you think. And a lot of times we have thoughts, we have feelings, we have dreams, but we filter them through what we think is acceptable. And
Hmm.
so when it comes through that filter of what we think is acceptable, it doesn't land. It doesn't connect. And it
Hmm.
doesn't take us to where we want to be because that's not our true unique voice. So ladies, if you're listening, your voice is your voice. Your voice is who you are, is what you think, is how you feel. All of those things are valid. All of those things are worthy. And so be mindful of the filter. Be mindful of the ways that we mute ourselves down or the ways that we kind of instead of being vibrant and colorful, we kind of make ourselves more muted, more gray. And so when we're thinking about using your unique voice, I would say watch the filter or get rid of the filter, throw the filter away, right?
Hmm.
And just operate in what is uniquely you. That is so, so powerful. I
Hmm.
love it. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
All right, Milan. So what's up next for you? What's coming up next? What are you doing?
So what's up next is I am hosting a juicy, and I
Yeah.
juicy retreat. It's called Ignite Your Inner Chic and Be Your
Yeah.
Best Self Retreat Chicago. So this retreat is happening in Chicago the month of May, and it's going to be a very beautiful, exclusive retreat. And it's bringing in all the elements of the 8 dimensions of wellness. You know, from environment, social influences, and the love of food, because you know food is a love language. Food
Yeah,
connects us. We
it does.
will cooking classes, and we'll be doing wine tastings and architectural tours. So I'm just really looking forward to sharing Chicago and all of that. Um, that's part of the arts, the culinary arts, and just the arts in general, because there's so many influences around the culinary arts and what makes that unique. And so I'm looking forward to helping women step to the next level of being truly chic and confident and well.
Oh, that is awesome. It sounds so amazing. I'm gonna look at my calendar because I need to get to Chicago, okay?
Love
All
it.
right. And so we do this show on Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening because we want to offer some inspiration. We want to give the women that's a part of our community some nuggets to take with them throughout the week. So if there's one or two things that you want to share with us that we can hold on to, put in our pocket to carry us through another week, how would you inspire us? What do you have?
I would say give yourself grace.
Mm,
There is, just thinking about that whole word in itself, give
mhm,
yourself grace. You know, a lot of times we hear where you are is where you need to be.
mhm,
When we give ourselves grace, we can't look at what somebody else is doing and compare ourselves to that or want to be where they are, because our lives are different, our circumstances are different. Um, One thing that we can do in giving ourselves grace is be where you are, enjoy where you are, live the experience of where you are. So every
mhm,
moment of your life, just love it and live it. Give yourself the ultimate self care that you can do. Connect with those that can give that to you. Um, Years ago, I connected with a coach. She just exuded confidence and
mhm,
so and chic. And I said, I am chic. I like being around chic people. Let me tap into that.
mhm.
What I can learn from her, and I did. I tapped into that, and I hired that coach, and I and I shaped myself from that. So give yourself grace to step away for a minute. Think about yourself. What is it I want? How can I reinvent myself? How can I reinvent the way I serve myself at home? How can I reinvent myself the way I move in life
Mhm,
and my connection with other people, the relationships that I allow in my life, the influences I allow in my life, the food that I live by, the food that nourishes me, how I move in my kitchen, how I move in life in general, giving myself more. Just give yourselves grace that you can't do it all, you can't be all, but you can be yourself and you can make
mhm.
the best of where you're at right now.
I love it. You can't do it all. You can't be it all, but you can be yourself. I love it. Thank you so much. That is so powerful. We are so appreciative of the time that you spent with us in this community. We know that we're going to hear more from you. How can we find you? If we want to reach out, how can we find you?
So the best way to find me is to go to my website, soulnaturalwellness.com. And if you want to join me on retreat, then click on contact me. And if you just want to have a coffee chat, click on the link, contact me, and let's hop on a call. So that's the best way to get into to reach out to me and be connected to me.
All right, wonderful. Thank you again for being with us. You dropped some amazing wisdom on us. I know that it's been powerful for our audience. And so I just want to just say thank you. We
You're welcome.
appreciate you. We'll definitely be praying for you as you continue to build your business, love on your husband, love on your mother in law, and I know that all will be well with you. To our community, thank you so much for joining us. We hope that this time was powerful and inspirational for you, that you have something that you can take with you on the week going forward. We will leave you now with our prayer and our wish that you live a life of purpose, power, and passion. Good night.
Good night.